this year, I have no plans other than the usual one of calling interviews I have of people. Koraniyule 2024 in the month of December. I'm not particularly bothered by it because I'm not about personality politics. Obviously, if you have ideas that you want to pursue, solutions that you want to propose, then by all means, this is your platform. Koraniyule is your platform to subject your proposals to scrutiny by me. It's not for displays of I'm trying to think of millennial, the ones that I did watch, and I hardly watched any because I'm afraid I'm prejudged the issue by, knowing. Okay, the ones I knew about, I already knew. I was already familiar with their shtick, and for those I hadn't heard of, I didn't really care about them. So I ended up watching not many of them. In fact, I can't really remember watching any particular one and thinking, wow, this guy's got a really good idea. And I want to just say that I've always been about ideas, and I'm not particularly interested in just I mean, okay, if you want to come and talk to me in the month of December, I will call it Koraniyule, and that will have to do. Probably you'll just be saying the same old thing as you said last year, if you are indeed known for saying anything at all. But that's all I'm going to do about Koraniyule. Am I going to fiddle around with some logo and whatever? I don't think so. I have quite a few ideas about mine, and it is not about pandering to morons and vegetables bumping along at the bottom of the sea. It is about talking to people who don't like my ideas, but who are, in theory anyway, in a position to do something about them. So I know that Millennial Woes has been talking about, he's too busy to even write on his Substack, and what can he be doing? What can he be planning other than, calling people up, and it would be the same old, and it wouldn't be me, would it? Because fundamentally, all these big cheese YouTubers are about giving their low IQ, low education, low information people what they want, and they don't want anything much. They just want to gather in a live stream and post shit about each other, usually, or about others. I've put the link in the chat for you to hop on, Stephen James. I hope you've noticed that. You have a few ideas about Koraniyule, it seems, and you're very welcome to pop on. In case you don't know, you will be aware that Stephen James has been monetized. Has that affected the quality of his output? We must also congratulate him on having the egregious Thomas Barton Rees on for 3 hours. Was it yesterday, the day before? I didn't listen to it. I saw he had a stocking over his head, and I just couldn't contain my desire to vomit and had to look away, and so I didn't watch the rest of it.
Are you jealous, Claire?
No, I wouldn't. Well, if guess if Thomas Barton Rees begged to be on my show, I'd let him on. Because I'm open to, letting really quite crazy people on my show. So I wouldn't have said no, is what I'm saying. So, well, congratulations for your very high viewership. Did he say anything interesting? Other than, I did watch up to the point when he said he's already been sectioned twice. Did he say anything more after that?
He said that your breath smells. And that you ought to perform a Thai massage.
I'm too old for that sort of thing. So, are you a fan of Thomas Barton Rees? Or would you happen to be... Have I spoken to you before? Do I know you from the Cube? All right, I'm not going to get even any banter from you. So, this is the Hello, Stephen J. James.
Oh, you got trolled by the looks of it, Claire.
That's fine. It makes it more entertaining for the morons and vegetables who love this sort of thing. I can do it if I want.
Yo, James J. Stevens. Excellent name there, dude.
I think he's Pebble Cruncher, isn't he?
No, it didn't sound like him. It was somebody else. I didn't recognise it. Don't know who it is. So anyway, Claire Core, we're here to talk about Koraniyule this year.
Go on.
Are you there, madam?
You have a few ideas.
What's wrong? What's wrong? You've been thrown for a loop by this troll, yes?
No, I'm just waiting for you to, give us your ideas.
Sorry, I was just putting the link out there so that some other people might find it.
Are you having your
Yes.
Christmas version of things?
No. Well, I've never had one. I've never done one, obviously. So it's not my place to start. You've been doing it for a few years. For anybody who doesn't know, the law is that when Millennial Woes was kicked off of Twitter back in something like 2018, he did 50 or 60 interviews complaining about being kicked off Twitter, and Claire Core was so upset, so annoyed by this that she started her own version of Millennial to compete with Millennial Woes, and she called it Koraniyule. So that's the law. There's a deep history here, but every year when it comes around, it's up to SJJ to remind Claire Core of her duties to entertain the masses and to put on this show. Isn't that right, Claire?
Yes, I hope to educate and entertain at the same time.
So we were DMing just before the show, and for one, you're not happy that people see dissident right content creation as entertainment, are you?
Well, it's up to them to entertain each other, but the confusion between the two is what makes it difficult to get anything done. And actually, the variety of social media platforms available is just dissipating any energy people might have. Because each social media platform requires so much time and so much engagement and so much, effort to understand its ins and outs, like Twitter Spaces.
Yeah, I mean, you have a point. But so
And if they're not being serious, then, what is the point? You are wasting your time.
well, they are serious. They are serious in their own minds. They think that they're changing the world, Claire.
No, I don't think they do, but they don't care because I was thinking today that this attitude is not confined to the young. I've been in touch with somebody who's actually older than me, imagine that. And I remember him saying years ago that he didn't even want a leader particularly. And I should have asked him why, but after. Since I spoke to him, it became obvious, he didn't want to be put through the inconvenience and burden of following a leader, only to be betrayed by them. And so he preferred not to have a leader. That
Who
was
was it?
really
Was
nobody you know, and he doesn't have a social media platform presence. Just
Is it
some
a
old
Pakistani
guy
Muslim?
who
Oh,
no, just some old guy who was in the BNP.
okay. Oh, okay. Well, look, millennial is the end product of what started as something edgy when it was the alt-right, and Millennial Woes was gathering together anybody who is anyone in the alt-right, and they would all get together at Christmas and
Yeah, you won't speak to me. I mean, that's the
platform their
thing.
wares.
Yes, indeed. But he's not the only one. I mean, Black Pigeon speaks. It is about giving people the same thing year after year after year. I mean, I'm glad you mentioned his. Okay, millennial words. I remember him distinctly saying this. I'm no longer depressed because I have a goal in life. But should I pretend to be depressed just to get my viewership? He actually said that.
Okay. Well, look, one of the things that I've been throwing around in my brain over the last week is this question of what is the distinction between performance art on the internet and between real people? Who's a performance artist and who is a real person? And this topic came up with in relation to Thomas Barn Rees, in that he's a character who still, the question is out there. We don't really know to what extent he's like a little bit mentally ill.
No, I know why you guys love him. You love him because he's middle class and he could be something better and he isn't, and you like watching him basically piss and shit himself on live streams. That's why you love him so much, right? That's why the low education, low status people love him so much.
I was attempting to make a profound point here about the nature of what is performance art and what is not. And in the case of like Alex Jones, say, who Thomas Barn Rees brought up during that stream, he said Alex Jones used it as a legal defence in court when challenged on his views. And it was interesting that he brought that up, for one, but two, there's this question of, okay, that if somebody actually goes like the whole way of spending the time talking about these subjects, is into these subjects, these are the things that really interest them, it's what they talk about on the internet, it's the beliefs that they hold, but they're doing it kind of then in a performative way. At what point does the horseshoe mean that they become that thing anyway? So somebody like Alex Jones, are they a performance artist even truly, or are they that character anyway, even if they're just performing it in a role?
It doesn't matter. It's all about ideas, Stephen. You're talking about it like, well, just talking about it as a kind of performance art is in itself, going off the rails, isn't it? You are already, making the error of confusing political
there's a long
activism
time.
with entertainment.
Well,
That's
I mean,
entertainment.
I mean, the guy who you covered the screen up with, I think was making a very actual point live on the air that you've been involved in some form of performance art yourself over the years, Claire?
Oh yes, well that was an opportunity, photo opportunity, which I don't regret because it was necessary to make a point.
So there we go. So, okay. And
But I don't, I can
accept it
repeat the
was-
same thing. I do develop my ideas.
But you accept that it was performance, wasn't it?
Well, no, it was more of a photo opportunity. I mean, I don't go around dressed like, I don't, It was a photo opportunity, it was a publicity stunt. And the rest of the time, I just talk about things, ideas.
So to get back to your main point, you have a gripe that people aren't discussing just bog standard political ideas all the time, aren't you?
It's not a box standard political idea. It's actually not just my gripe. Vincent and I have been griping about the same thing.
You and Vincent are highly autistic people.
Define autism, please.
Autism is a spectrum upon which you have kind of a concentration of intelligence into certain parameters and exclude others. So you can be highly focused, highly intelligently focused in one particular area to the ignorance of others, and this makes you like super highly adept at these particular things. So you see autistic traits manifest themselves in different ways, but usually it's a focus of intelligence, and then accompanying that usually is a lack of ability to read social situations and to therefore exist somewhat outside of the usual realms of normative social interaction. It's a difficult thing you're asking me to describe, but it's something like
Okay,
that.
I don't feel myself to be this social retard that you're painting me as.
You're a woman, so your type of autism would be different. I'm not entirely sure the social.
No. You just describe anyone with any principles as a fanatic. You and people like you would call people with principles fanatics or extremists, and anybody with any focused energy on a particular thing to be an autist. I understand that was what Vincent and I were saying yesterday about.
So in some ways you are. You're not the type of autist that's, lays in a bed dribbling and screaming. You're the type of highly focused, very autistic, can't see the wood for the trees because you're absolutely laser focused on this one thing that you've honed in your hyper.
And your advice.
Hyper-focused intelligence.
Your
My
advice to
advice
me is to.
is to continue. I love you, Claire. You're a rare apple in a barrel full of old rotten pears.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm not suggesting that you change. I'm not suggesting to stop. I once did the video where I said 1,000 points of nationalism, and I can appreciate all these weirdo characters such as Claire Core and Vincent Bruno, even though I feel diametrically opposite to them, all for different reasons, but I can appreciate that in their own way, in their own instinctive way, they are like pursuing their own form of like hyper-nationalism, whether it's you doing your thing or even the most egregious case of Vincent Bruno being like hyper super gay nationalism. In his own way, it's an admirable trait.
you're not really proposing any ideas about getting the message through. You're not really thinking about the future. You're not. You don't really care about whether the solution is proposed or understood or implemented, and you're giggling again because I care about these things. Because I'm not here just to entertain people. And you think you know better
about the value of entertainment.
I understand the value of entertainment. If you're not entertaining, no one will listen to you. But I was heartened to hear that Vincent has been getting himself kicked out of Facebook groups for mentioning my ideas. It does seem that a few people have heard of it. They just like to pretend that they haven't. So that's nice. And of course, Millennial Woes has heard of secular Quranism, but he doesn't want to talk about it. And so has Academic Agent. He attempted to talk about me without mentioning secular Quranism by pretending that he was... he confused... He thought I was some Japanese bird or something. I don't know if you remember Kurosama.
Yes, I do.
Bird, whatever.
Ray Kurosami.
So, I guess they do want to talk about it.
Sweetheart. It's a bloody conspiracy.
They do want to talk about it, but they don't quite dare. I think that is the trouble. So I think I can congratulate myself on being quite clear about the message that everybody is kind of struggling to reject and forget and unthink.
Okay, now I'll go on with my point. The value of entertainment is that you can, whilst people are entertained, whilst they are enjoying themselves, they're being entertained, they're engaging in humour and jolliness, they let their guard down. It's at this moment, at this point, at which you can slip ideological ideas in under the radar, under their guard, and which you have the most and potentially the only opportunity to affect somebody in a deeply political or philosophical way in which they really will question their own ideas about things. This is well known, and it's why Hollywood is so successful. They
Subliminal advertising.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I have done that. I mean, I've slipped it under the table and hit them on the head with it too.
Oh, really? Ooh, tell me more. Oh.
Well, they do know. That's why they don't like it. So when I get blocked, or
who have you slipped it under the table with?
Well, the people who've blocked me, and the people who remember years later.
Has anybody slipped it under
the trouble
table
is not being platformed, really. I mean, ultimately, success would depend on being platformed by, people with a bigger channel, a mainstream, TV
So how do
channel.
you get to that? How do you achieve that?
I would have to get CIA clearance, or they would have to get CIA clearance, saying it's all right for you to report on the sayings and doings of Claire Cornell, when previously she was on a CIA blacklist, when nothing that she says or does will be reported.
Don't you think that's a bit of a conspiracy theory, taking yourself a little bit too
So, kids, Stephen J. James, I appreciate you giving me the link, but I'm already here, buddy. I've been waiting in the wings. I am BRT, aka TBR. All I can see is Claire's face, though. Claire, you wouldn't happen to be a Leo by any chance, would you?
Why'd you say that?
I don't know. I just feel like you'd be a Leo. It's a Leo
She's
thing
a
to
Gemini.
do. Is she a Gemini, or is she schizo enough to be a Gemini? That's so real. What? Don't sigh, Claire. Is it because astrology is haram?
It's just boring. Well, anyway, Stephen was going to say something. I guess I'll have to remove you if you won't keep quiet before Stephen has made his point.
disoriented. I can't see Stephen. I don't even know what kind of panel I'm
Well,
on,
well,
what kind of conversation
well-
I'm having. All I see is your giant face. Like, what's going on?
It's
I think it's
beautiful.
probably safe. I think it's probably safe that I won't be porn bombed. So I think
Claire,
I'll try
nobody's
that.
gonna porn bomb you. What the fuck?
Well, it's happened before.
But Claire, who here would porn bomb you, and why?
Well, it has happened before.
But Claire, nobody's watching. There's more people on the panel than in the chat. Like, who
Claire
what?
fears the BBC.
Fucking hell. I mean,
So,
now,
look, Jordan,
it would be funny.
I was trying to tell Claire that she needs to, if she ever wants to get her message across to people, she needs to be entertaining first, focus on entertainment, and then slip it in.
Yeah, but that's not
I
going
don't
to work.
look. There's no point entertaining you lot because you're not.
I mean, that is the way to
entertaining.
do it, but...
Well, obviously, I did entertain you for a while.
Millennial, just to be clear, right, the point I was getting at, because we might not be able to get it through for much longer, but Millennial Woes won't have you on because he fears that you're not going to entertain the audience. That you're
Damn,
going
of
to
course,
just-
of course I would. You know, there have been people who actually said, who could pay for super chats and say, why don't they have me on? And they just wouldn't. Okay, I just
So
want you all
you
to
can't just say
understand
to
that this is
somebody, of course
been
I would be
attempted.
entertaining. You can't just say, look, of course I would be entertaining at
Yes,
this point
I know
in the
I'm
future, but
entertaining.
until then, I'm going to
No, these grifters
like, beat you over
are
the head with a crap.
afraid. Maybe they've been told not to platform
No,
me.
come on, Claire.
Now you're sounding conspiratorial. You sound like TBR right now.
Yes.
Anyway, the point is that, you know, I don't think anyone's conspiring against you or working against you. I think the bottom line is, like, I have a small channel, like a couple thousand followers that I use for shit posting. I wouldn't invite you on that channel because you're just too autistic. I think you have the potential to be very
I don't
funny.
want to talk to you people.
I just feel like you need a fifth of vodka and some Xannies or something. Just take the edge off.
No, I don't even want to entertain people like you.
Yeah, no,
You just
and
need to-
But that's just mean. You're just being
she's
rude
not.
now.
She's not autistic. She's just not a retard.
I'm sorry. I don't think an autist is allowed to diagose another autist with.
I'm not
having
autistic.
autism.
Well, if,
Oh,
if,
fuck
if
off!
I,
You're not autistic.
No, okay, I
you're-
have a healthy
God,
amount
Nikita.
of autism. I'm a little tiny bit autistic, but not like to the point that, like, I have the
Rip
autism of like a
George.
professor or something. Like, all college professors are a little autistic, but they're not insufferable. It's not insufferable autism. It just kind of gives them a little bit of an edge. It's like, okay, I believe it's good to be a tiny bit schizophrenic because I think that it like opens
Yes,
up your
sure.
mind.
Absolutely.
I think it opens up your mind, and I think all like great mathematicians are a little bit schizophrenic.
But the problem with autism, okay,
Eccentric,
when it
maybe.
manifests-
That used to be the
when-
expression. Eccentric.
When autism manifests, what it does is it's a hyper focused on one particular aspect of your psyche or of a topic or something that you're super into, and you laser focus
You
on
have
that,
a mission and you
then-
want to
and then
accomplish
you-
it.
Yes, and then you put on blinkers like they put on a horse when it's in traffic, so you can't see anything else, and it's just
No, I
laser
do.
focused
I
on
do.
that.
Look, I look around all the time, and all I see is dross and retards and unmarriageable men who don't deserve reproductive rights, who are hated by their women, who keep voting for parties that promote
So
more
the
immigration.
the desire that you should have, Claire, the desire that you should have is to play the game so that you become successful to be able to dominate them and put them in the
No, it's
rather
impossible
than
to do
bumping
that
along
because
at the bottom
No,
with
no,
them
I don't
being
mind.
kicked around by them.
No, I don't feel kicked around by retards. I don't want to entertain them. So there's no point, it would be it would be like doing what Thomas Barton Rees does, which is to basically, shit and piss.
But you and Vincent
and
stream
be
to
and allow
nobody,
people to watch
and you
it.
both have so much more potential. I've told this to you.
Yeah,
both.
but we are
Now
being
a dozen
Yeah, but
times.
this
suppressed.
is what I keep. Okay,
No,
but
you're not.
You're
You're
saying
suppressing
what Claire said.
yourselves. It's self-sabotage.
Me and look, I always tell Claire, and Claire always says the same thing. She wants me to get involved in mass movements, and she wants me to have lots of people. I would really have to compromise my message in order to get a larger audience. I would have to compromise what it is that I'm saying. I'd have to dumb everything down and make it silly and all this other kind of stuff. And I don't want to do
You
that.
have to compromise your sexuality.
I'd rather have.
No,
I'd rather
what you'd
have,
have
a
to
few,
do.
I'd rather have a few good.
No, he doesn't have
and-
to.
Yeah, but
Listen,
I'd
what
rather-
all you have to do.
I just want him
listen,
to be a gay secular Koranist. It's enough for him to be a gay secular
Right.
Koranist. And yesterday
Right.
we were joking about tranny
Well-
secular Koranism. I'm prepared
Well,
to
maybe I
entertain
should
that.
just go and leave you to discuss tranny secular Quranism then. If that's just what you really want to do, you can
Well,
go ahead
excuse me,
and
David.
scream to
Well,
nobody.
and you thought that bringing on like TBR is such what? So you want us to be like whatever his name is, TBR, and get lots of followers by just being some low class asshole?
I don't listen. At the end of the day, I don't want you to succeed. I don't want super gay nationalism. I don't want Islam light. I'm just, for whatever reason, I'm just telling you the information that you need to hear. I probably shouldn't do it. It's against my own self-interest. But here I am, being a kind guy, telling you the rubric.
To be more
if
like you.
want-
You're being subversive because you're trying to look. Here's what you know what's going on. We have a message that gets to a small number of people, but they're high quality.
It gets to nobody.
No, and
No,
it gets to a
nobody.
small number of people, but it's high quality. You want us to just erase that high quality message and just
Okay,
entertain
okay.
the masses like you do.
Diet
I was
Islam
attempting
without
to-
the fizz.
I was attempting to explain to Claire the success story of Hollywood, okay, in moving the culture over and moving thereby politics towards certain trends, is by entertaining people first and then politicizing and preaching to them second. And what you do when people are entertained and enjoying themselves and engaged in humour and entertainment, they let their guard down, everybody's having a good time, and then they absorb the things secondarily. And instead of hitting somebody over the head 99% of the time with a Quran or with your stuff, Vincent, and what you do is you entertain people 80% of the time and give them the message 20% of the time, and you would have 100 times the success.
I'm not going for the same people. Stephen J. James, you're going to the university professor who wrote a book on complicated mathematics and telling him nobody's going to read this. Or what? 2 people in the whole world are going to read this. Why don't you write a dumbed down textbook that everybody can read?
A comic.
Yeah, why not? Why not a mathematics comic?
Well, I can see here that I have no further use. So I'll leave you two to discuss tranny secular Quranism. There you go. Catch you in the next one.
This is your stream, Claire?
Yes, it's my stream. But anyway, Stephen wanted to, give me advice on Koraniyule, and it's like, oh, Millennial Woes is planning his, and he stopped writing in his Substack because he's planning it so hard. Why don't you plan it harder? And it's like, what's there to plan? My shtick is basically calling anyone I interview in December Koraniyule. And it's, the same old people saying the same old thing.
Yeah, no, there's not going to be any improvement in these people, and all their advice is for us is to dumb everything down and become clowns and entertain everyone.
To be like them. They want us to be like them.
Yeah, which is
Because they can't be us. Because they have no ideas that they care enough to discuss. To the extent of being called autistic. They don't have any convictions.
No, they don't. They don't really stand for anything, and except for racism and sexism and homophobia, and you can't build a movement on that. You can't build, you know, you can't just have everything you're against. And people don't. Well, people will unite on what they're against. Yes, they will, but they won't form like a functioning unit unless you have something that they're all for, and that there's a program that they're all in on. That's why the Nazis worked, because they were against the Jews, but they also had a system to follow that they were all in line with, and that they were all taking marching orders from.
Yeah, I mean, Hitler wrote Mein Kampf, to kind of sell himself to the German people and to show what a regular guy he was, and he cared about civic pride and architecture and the poor and all the other things. And yeah, I get it about setting yourself in that way. I'm a regular. I mean that is basically what Stephen does. I'm a regular guy. I would die for my country, even though its foreign policy is crap. And I'm going to get myself killed for nothing, like my ancestors who died in the First and Second World Wars. But I'm a regular guy. Trust me, I'm a regular guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's but yeah, they all want to be, none of them want to show how smart they are, and like, that's like, my psychologist. One time I was talking to my psychologist, another one that I had that, well, and I told her, I said, when people are in crowds, they pretend to be stupid and they don't really talk that intellectual. And she's like, well, yeah, they don't want to cause any rifts. Like, if you're a smart person and you show that in a group, then it's gonna cause divisions and these.
The tall poppy syndrome.
The what?
It's called the tall poppy syndrome.
What does that mean?
If you're the tall poppy, they'll want to cut your head off.
Yeah, no, and so they're purposely, they have this creed amongst them to keep everything at the lowest common denominator, so that nobody is thrown out, and or that nobody gets. They want the largest mass possible, so they go for the lowest common denominator. And I was just talking, of course, like every time, the other night I came across someone in the alt-right, in the Cube, who had some more skills and talent and ability and reasoning than the average person. And every time you come across these type of people, they talk about how disgusted they are with all the alt-right and how they don't even talk to them. And like that was, his shtick, that he's just, repulsed by these people. And, he tries to be a little bit more intellectual, though I think he does it in the wrong movement. He does it in with fucking Evola and mysticism and magic, and that's not real intellectualism. I'm sorry. I mean, that's pseudo intellectualism, magic and whatever. It's better than what some of these people are talking about, but
oh god, finally. It's hell in there. It's hell back there. Don't put me back there. That was all there is.
Do you have anything sensible to say?
It's just an endless internet void. It's terrifying. Oh god, please don't put me back in there. Yes, I have lots of things to say and many questions to ask, but I was just listening. For the time being, I was just listening. Don't let me interrupt.
Yeah. Well, actually, we were in. What's his name? In the Cube. What's his name? Emo Monk.
Yeah, I know that kid. Yeah. Smart guy. I've only just recently met him.
Yeah, he is a little bit smarter than average, and that's why he's really disgusted by all these men in the alt-right and doesn't feel as though he can really relate to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's very visceral, right? From his perspective, I probably would have quite a lot in common with him. When I first encountered these circles, like 5-10 years ago, I guess, I was like, whoa, people were just saying hard R's, and people are just so racist. And I was very liberal, like I was kind of, I come from like middle class, white London kind of, it's not, I don't know, so I didn't really relate to it. post getting red pilled, I'm like completely desensitized to it now. And here's the thing: so are many of them. So for them, it's not like they really have this like hatred and bigotry burning in them. It's just they've become completely desensitized to it. And for a lot of them, it's actually catharsis. They they play the internet as though it were some kind of online game, role playing game, where I don't know, man. I was ashamed when I realized that the internet was a costume party and I had arrived wearing my real face. You know what I mean?
Full of
Well,
LARPers.
look, that you missed the point. The point is that this man is a little bit more principled and put together than the average person in the alt-right.
And he can't stand them. Yeah, I get it. It's the same for many of us. However, if you hang around long enough, you become desensitized to it. And if many people don't come that way in the first place, they come from much more working class backgrounds, and they couldn't give two fucks. It's not, like.
Okay, but he's not operating at his best level if he's just there because he has nowhere else to go and he's desensitized to all the low end bullshit. To be honest, he's only there because he has nowhere else to go. The same with me.
I'll reach out to him.
I am talking to him, and he does talk to me, and he's actually not an idiot. And
But Vincent, the difference between what you and Claire are trying to do here, where you've kind of fused together and created a homogenous gay Muslim ideology, the cube is for everyone, right? Like it's not true. It's actually very exclusive. You have to either have radical political opinions, be highly mentally ill or mentally unstable, or have some form of internet clout to be allowed into the cube. Like that's the whole point of the cube. It's a place for really, really fringe, eccentric people with kooky, crackpot ideas. You're both absolutely welcome, by the way. But it's not a place where everybody has a homogenous ideology and all believes the same thing. It's an experiment. It's quite literally a psychology experiment.
No, I didn't say that. That's not the point. The point is that by keeping everything on the lowest common denominator, you are keeping away and you are squelching the best of your people. Is what the point is, that
you are wasting their time and their energy.
Well, yeah, and then
and demoralizing them.
I disagree. These are people who otherwise, being as fringe and eccentric as they are, would be either talking to themselves, streaming to an audience of nobody, or whatever. What we are actually doing is giving them a platform. Now, it might not be the glowing triumph that they want with fucking confetti and fireworks or pyrotechnics, but what it is a platform for them to voice their ideas. So we're creating a community around a community, if that makes sense, where we have a cast of interesting characters. They argue with each other, they fight with each other, they make up, they fuck, they have babies, we run the Truman Show, whatever it morphs into. I'm just saying, like, that's more interesting. Stephen is kind of right when he says you got to put the horse before the cart, and do the entertainment, right? I can hear you furiously assaulting your keyboard, Claire, but I promise you.
Wait. Okay, me and
You could learn a lot from SJJ.
You are going for people that think like you. Okay, look, if I went into a group, I would want to stay because they were posting things that actually were like useful and knowledgeable and these different kinds of things. And I talk in the cube because normies don't talk to me. I mean, the only people that do talk to me are people who are crazy. But the point is that you're
just reduced to the cube because you have nowhere better to go.
Well,
that's what you're saying, isn't it, Vincent?
Well, yes, but normally, the only reason I'm not in any other group is because nobody's posting anything that. I mean, normie groups are posting normie information, and of course I'm not going to go for that. But I'm not getting what I need from the alt-right. I'm not getting that esoteric, not mystical.
You should be on Twitter more.
I like factual esotericism, like things that are esoteric but are still facts. You know what I mean? But I'm not getting that from the cube. But the point that
Vincent, that's why you're in the cube. But could you give us all an example of an esoteric fact? I would like to hear one. Sounds awesome.
Okay, no, the things that the things like me and Claire were talking about, this Armstrong cult. Okay, nobody's heard of them. I mean, people have heard of them. That's not true. But Like, okay,
But that's what I'm saying. Why don't you guys bring this stuff to the cube?
We
Be more
do,
active,
I do, and
no,
you don't
Vincent,
even
you do, but I'm
comment
saying
on it.
Claire doesn't. Claire is very resistant to the idea of the cube. I don't think she likes it. You, Vincent, you're a very active participant, and by doing so, you will help to shape the people that come in the future, right? You feel free to invite people. You know the criteria. There are only 3 rules. You need radical political opinions. You need to be very, very eccentric or borderline mentally ill, or you need to have some sort of internet following.
Well, I
Those are the
don't want
rules.
to be. I don't want to lower myself to that degree.
It's not a lowest common denominator
No, no,
thing. You
you
can
just have
exist in there.
freaks and sex offenders and crazy people, and you know, I've just had enough of that. We want to go higher.
Claire,
Oh,
people have been fed
okay.
a diet of Jerry Springer and MTV. You have to meet them where they are.
Yeah, but did you throw him out?
Yeah, because he's just going to say the same thing. Join the cube. We're better than doing this because we're more, you know. That's all he's going to say, isn't it? I mean, I can bring him back if you want, but he'll just be saying, more is better than few.
This is their whole shtick, that you want large numbers. And honestly, I really think that this is what happened to Hitler. I think that Hitler kind of compromised in order to get the whole of Germany on his side. I think maybe he was a little bit smarter than he pretended to be. And I really think in the end he got really frustrated with the German people because, you know, they just weren't on his level, and he sacrificed stuff, you know, they just weren't capable, I think.
Well, I mean, he became the dictator, so he got what he wanted. He just, you know, misused his time as dictator by leading Germany into defeat and disaster. I mean, that was it. I mean, he wanted to acquire an empire at the expense of the Russians, and the British wouldn't let him. I mean, that... You see, you won't get this sort of discussion on the cube, and
No,
you know.
I mean, no, you
Claire,
won't get this
I'm sorry to interrupt, Vincent, but you absolutely can get this kind of discussion in the cube because you're in the cube, right? So, for example, who else is in the cube that you guys know? John Vance is in the cube. That guy's one step away from being a secular Quranist. You've got, who was it the other day? Okay, Claire, you'll be interested to know that there is a popular live streamer called Darius IRL, who now, because of the cube, knows what secular Quranism is, okay? This is all about connecting you to people who will do the work for you and working smart instead of hard. It's a part of this that you're very resistant to. Okay, just let us manage you a little bit. Let us get you on some live streams. Let us, like, it'll be funny. It's entertainment. And it's ideas.
You did get me on the stream, and that was it. And then you forgot all about it.
No. We have been building an archive for the past
I
6
actually
months.
had a good conversation with some white nationalist person.
Right, this is what I'm saying. We need
and it's forgotten about.
Archive of content.
Yes, but also,
no, it's
wait,
not forgotten about. It's in the archive.
You're just using the scattergun approach.
It's not scattergun. This is what we do, right? We take specific.
It is scattergun. No. Okay, my little idea. And I don't think you've heard it before, is to have a debate exchange. So you want to debate, well, Jews are to blame, and somebody can take up your offer and say, no, Jews are not to blame, and I'm going to debate you. You can have this idea for free.
No, okay, George, and the thing is that I do go into the cube, and you're right, I do post these things, but do I get a little bit of traction? Do people talk about the little bit of intellectual things I post in there? Yes, but I mean, is that what they really want to talk about in there? Is that their, like, is it explosive? No, I mean, they'd rather just ignore it 99% of the time. It's not on their wavelength. And, you know, I'm basically working for crumbs because I can't get normies. The only people that I can get are, like, fucked up freaks. But, like, you know, even with that, it's very, like, you know, it's very work intensive for very little product in the end.
It doesn't have to be. What I'm saying is, what we like to do is match people up. If you just wander into a random live chat, that when it's just going at one time, then yeah, you might be bombarded by schizos and weirdos. But when we invite you to one and we say, come meet this person, because There's a specific reason for that. It's because we found someone who's extremely homophobic to speak to Vincent Bruno, or extremely Islamophobic to speak to Claire Court, right? Like, we're trying to marry people up
Yeah.
with...
Thanks for matching me up with that that father who was fucking his daughter. Thanks.
What? No, but Claire, that's fucking Keno. Are you joking?
No, I'm not
Okay,
joking.
not
I'm
only
just
are the-
saying
not only the
I
people-
don't want to be introduced to the dregs of society for a bit of entertainment for your, low-grade associates. Why don't you raise your game and do something sensible for a change, George?
No, well, but the problem is he
Claire,
knows
what
that
would
he's
you
not
have
going
me-
to lose his audience.
What would you? I don't have an audience for the Cube. My own audience hates the Cube. I don't publish Cube stuff on my channel. It's got its own channel because it's completely different. My audience are all very political, want to talk about philosophy and politics and shit. I don't want to fucking, I don't want to mix the two, cross the stream.
Okay,
I'm
well,
saying
so
this
why
is
don't you
separate.
why don't you invite me to your streams talking about politics and philosophy?
Because as I said to you before, and please don't get offended and kick me off the stream, but you're highly autistic. I actually have uploaded.
What
a clip of me
has
and you
that to
arguing
do with actually having a philosophical and political discussion?
And this thing, okay, if Claire's autistic, then every person in the 1850s who was a Christian was autistic because most people just sat around and talked about the Bible.
Listen,
all
I don't
day.
really believe in autism as a diagnosis. I'm using it as a colloquialism. Like, I think actually autism used to be the default. Everyone used to be autistic until the TV started raising people instead of other people. I'm just saying now we live in this fast-paced techno world of schizotypical personality types, and no one has an attention span that's very long. You can't sit there droning into the void. You have to become dynamic. You have to adapt. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to be fucking stirring shit where it's none of my business, but like, we can make shit happen for you guys. It just isn't going to be in the way you think it's going to be, where it's all perfectly congruent.
I play along with you enough. I mean, I
no, Vincent. I would just encourage you to encourage Claire to do the same, because it could be epic, and you need an ally in the queue, to be quite honest.
Claire, I'm gonna.
Okay,
go
I mean-
in a different. Claire, I'll be right back. I'm coming in a different computer. Hold on.
Okay,
All
Claire,
right.
while Vincent's gone, let me just ask you one thing, okay? Like, elevator pitch me. I'm Jeff Bezos. I'm not actually Jeff Bezos, don't speak out about that, but I'm just the average person.
Okay, I'm just going to ask you. You did. So you have this political and philosophy channel, and you never thought to invite me.
The truth is, Claire, I never use it. If you look at it, I upload like once every 3 months. I'll upload like a short scripted
Okay, so
video
you're
or
not a
something, like
serious
rap.
man. You're just you're here for the shits and giggles.
No, I use the internet very much for catharsis. I don't believe you can make any political change through live streaming.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not taking it seriously. It's just bullshitting and pissing around.
No, it's not
And
at
I
all.
get it.
It's a way of having interesting discourse and entertaining people at the same time and having fun.
Okay,
of course,
wait,
of
okay.
having fun is a huge part of it. I wouldn't deny that. There's
Okay,
nothing
but
wrong with having fun.
Here's the point. Like, you are that German Workers' Party before Hitler went there to go and spy on them, and that it was just a bunch of like derelicts sitting around in the beer hall complaining, and then Hitler came in and said, no, here's your 25 points, this is what we're doing, let's get started. And like, right now you're like, you are that Munich political party that did nothing but sit around and drink.
Vincent, I already told you. There's like leftists in there. There's like Antifa in there. There's
No,
like
I know, but it's still the German Workers' Party before Hitler got there and gave them structure.
Yeah, okay, I see the analogy. How would you suggest that it's structured? What form?
By
would you
being
think
serious and talking politics and philosophy in a serious way.
Well, okay. Like, well, the thing is, you think it's autistic to actually kind of have like a congruous, coherent ideology that's written down. To you, that's autism. So you're never gonna get.
No, it's not so much autism as just like it's an ideology of one. It's like if I said to you, I've got my own religion. If it's like cool, but like so what? Like, you know, it's like
It would depend on what your religion is. I mean, is your religion like profound and good, and is it going to save the world? And yeah, I would be interested in your religion. If it's a dumb religion, then no, I'm not interested.
Fuck, maybe.
Okay, I've had enough of George because he'll just say, I know he can talk shit for hours and hours in this sort of, bright-eyed, convincing way.
Yeah, it's too bad because
That's how he gets his following.
he is clever in certain ways, and he is more clever than the average person, but he's decided to just waste it. And especially I think he wastes it with his mysticism and his astrology and his
He dares not take himself seriously.
He he can't be taken seriously. I mean, the thing about the cube is that I hardly get interaction in the cube because I can't get interaction from normies. Like, it's really the best I can get, to be honest with you.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's like, stop reminding us that, we're stuck with them. That's what they were doing. You're stuck with us. Be more like us. Which is really what they were doing, the two of them. Who do you think you are? You're no better than us. Just play the game. By our rules. That's what they were telling us. So, I timestamp, in an autistic way, of course. I timestamp our conversations, and I think it doesn't matter if only. Okay, maybe it does, but it's just more satisfying to have a conversation that leads to new ideas than to shitpost and insult each other, which is what they do. That's what they do. And think of gross things to say and gross memes to post.
No, and then it's very sad because then we have nothing to do but sit around and complain about these people because, we have our ideologies and we talk about our ideologies, but then you want to talk about real world things. You want to talk about what's going on. You want to talk about what's happening. And, the only thing that we have to talk about that's happening is what losers these people are.
Well, we can talk about current affairs, and sometimes we do. Living the Dream says we could end up. He's saying I could end up presenting the secular Quran's manifesto to hundreds of thousands if I network a bit more. He doesn't really believe that I am being suppressed. In fact, a lot of people are having their channels suppressed or shadow banned in so many ways. So that it never gets further, and also what I've noticed on Twitter is that the people who kind of like your tweets, they don't want to retweet them because that would kind of associate them with your with your ideas. So they just like it, and you can only find tweets that some tweeter likes by there's an extra it won't be on their timeline is what I'm trying to say. So you have to click on so it it's not obvious. They kind of like what you say, but they're a bit scared to retweet it, so they don't, and they just like it. There are all kinds of subtle ways of showing unconvinced what's the word, plausible deniability, when going the full hog would be retweeting something, but they don't dare in case somebody notices and comments and says, and they don't want to say a retweet is not necessarily support of a tweet and whatever. So
no, Claire, it's it's too cerebral for them. Just really. And I'm sorry, the difference between me and you is that you're looking for a mass movement and I'm not. I know very well that I'm going to remain a small cult until I die. And like I told you, Carol Balzette, we talked about her. She wasn't a huge cult. Most people haven't heard of her. But were 800 babies born to her cult? Yeah, 800 babies born into your cult is a lot of people. And if Carol Balzette had... Okay, honestly, the sad thing is if Carol Balzette was alive today and she had her own YouTube channel, she would have more followers than we do. If anyone doesn't know who Carol Balzette is, go to carolbalzettecult.blogspot.com. Basically, what she taught was medicine was witchcraft and that you should just medically neglect yourself and your children until they die. And she had not a mass following, but she had a following. I mean, there was over 400,000 copies of her books photocopied. I mean, you know, so she got somewhere. And this is what I'm telling you, Claire, that if you tomorrow went and you changed your whole shtick and you said medicine is pagan witchcraft, stop taking medicine and allow your children to die from medical neglect, your channel would skyrocket, Claire, because it's nonsense.
Well, I can't do that. I won't do that. And I think, Vincent, you're wrong about me wanting a mass movement. I'm not looking for a mass movement, because if I were, I would be hanging around with in the queue. I'm not interested in that. I see my route to success as being a humble government advisor. It's not a cult that I'm promoting, just a solution that I want to be properly considered before rejection. I have noticed that people who call themselves public intellectuals are not prepared to engage with me. And I just to take into account what they were saying, it's like, yes, you have to be entertaining, you have to talk about cultural issues, and I notice a lot of middle class activists who are not happy with the current situation, they talk pretentiously and write long essays, and I'm saying that's not going to work either.
Well, no, Claire, the mainstream intellectuals don't want to talk to you because look, mainstream intellectuals only want to talk to people that they can pigeonhole, who have absurd ideas that they can just write off and can go into a debate with, and they look dumb, and then the other side looks dumb and they look smart. They don't want to go in with anyone who has any kind of nuance. They don't want to go in with anyone who doesn't 100% fit into the mold of the enemy, that they can just rubbish them. They don't want to deal with secular Quranism because it's not about God, and it's not about, I mean, the best that they have on you, the only thing that they would have on you is slavery, right? They would say, oh, well, secular Quranism promotes slavery, and isn't that horrible? You know, that's basically all they would have on you, really. Oh, and then the public whippings of pregnant mothers and stuff, pregnant single moms and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, they could do all those things, but they won't even do a hatchet job on me, because, you know, Edward Martin, he does have contacts in high places. And so he knows this Guardian journalist who wanted to do a story about me, and was told by her editor that you know, she that she couldn't. So any story she wrote about me wouldn't be published. So I'm saying Western media is controlled by the CIA. I'm on a blacklist because there was once upon a time they would publish stories about me. I don't know if you know that I was on the international media. I think you can still find me when I started my Colonel Gaddafi support group on Facebook. Did you know that about me?
Well, yeah, I know that you did have some success, and then you were blacklisted. You know,
the Guardian wrote about me regularly until they were told not to. I'm saying they were told not to because I know I give good copy, because I raise interesting points that people would want to, you know, go, oh, shock, horror, you know, that kind of thing, and they still wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it after a while. They kind of did it, you know, in a very tentative way. And then they stopped doing it. So I'm saying, you know, all I require is CIA clearance. And I'm saying the CIA can be ruled and divided, because I don't think they all agree. Well, I think it'd be impossible if they all agreed, because some of them must be Democrats and some of them must be Republicans.
No, Claire, but I think more than your problem than media black outlet is that the general population's IQ is too low to pick up on your ideas. I think that's our problem. I think that, you know, people are just too dumb and too ugly to even want to talk about this. Just go into any chat room. And what are people talking about? Are they talking about anything, or are they just talking about
They're just talking about who they hate, right? And it's so stupid because it's like the moment you start blaming the Jews, you're going to be, you're going to have the Nazi label stuck on you. And so I just said, well, just call them neocons. And it's like, well, they've never heard of it, so they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to be the first person to talk about some idea that most of them haven't heard about. But okay, what I'm saying is that people are looking for leadership. So, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of Muslims who want to support secular Quranism, but they know it's an out there idea, and they're waiting for their imams to, for some reason, Vincent dropped out. Somebody above them to say it's okay. And their imams, I'm sure, are waiting for the Western political establishment to tell them that it's okay for them to support secular Quranism. And the Western political establishment are waiting for the CIA to say it's okay for them to talk about it. But in the meantime, ordinary people who really want a solution to their problems can easily understand that Christianity is kaput and needs to be replaced. And that message can be repeated by anyone.
No, Claire, I mean, the problem is that Muslims are not clever enough for this. Claire, I'm telling you, most people are shit, and so they want shit. Not like, most people are shit and they want shit. It's just like, average people don't like smart people. They don't want smart people around. They don't like when an intelligent person elevates the conversation above them because they can't participate and they can't be in control. And so, smart people are made fun of, just like nerds are made fun of in school. Nobody wants them around. And we're the nerds. We're the nerds and nobody wants us around.
But I'm saying, if an authority above the people who mock us said that we are to be listened to, then we will be listened to. Because what I've always been going on about is the idea that there is God above humanity. Theoretically, if you please, if that's how you choose to look at it. But even if, okay, an atheist can talk about things like, oh, the best case scenario in a perfect world. Even when they talk about these things, they do mean, a higher authority than the one currently oppressing them. And this is all it means. And if you make people understand that, when two people are disputing the truth of something, there is, in theory, somebody who knows what the real truth is, and that would be God, if he actually exists, and that is enough, even if they can't quite get their heads around the idea, because the hierarchy is the most important thing. That's why I don't want to be bumping along at the bottom, pandering to losers. I want to go above the people. Well, I want to go above myself. By appealing to the people who are oppressing me, to stop the people who are directly oppressing me from oppressing me, because that is how this kind of moral reasoning works. But by rejecting the concept of God, we deprive ourselves of this mechanism for solving our problems.
Claire, the people at the top are not going to promote. They know that if they tried promoting highfalutin ideas, they would lose the masses. I mean, unfortunately, they know in order to rule the masses, they have to promote garbage, because the masses would just rebel and not listen if they promoted anything of any intellectual value. And, they know that they can't even, if you notice, they don't even fight ideas that have intellectual value, even if they don't like them, because they know, let's say that they were against secular Quranism. They still wouldn't talk about it. They still wouldn't, they wouldn't even go on there and be like, we're against secular Quranism. Because
they don't want to give me the oxygen of publicity. That's what.
Yes, it would get a publicity, and they don't want that, but they also know that people wouldn't pay attention to that. They'd be like, what the fuck is secular Quranism? I don't care. Same thing with Noahidism. I spread this, most people don't care about the Noahide laws. They just don't give a flying fuck at all. And if the government, let's just say the government did start promoting this, everyone would just stop listening to the government, and they would just tell them who cares, and they would go watch TV and Flintstones or something like that.
No, they will start taking an interest if the government keeps pumping them about, the no-hide laws. And then they'll have a feeling, they'll have an opinion about whether they like it or dislike it or something of that nature. No, I mean it when I say the fourth estate is now the first estate. The media control our minds. The media tells us who we are, what we ought to do, and how to behave.
Yeah, but there's a lot of criticism of the media these days, and there's a lot of mistrust of the media these days. It's not like it was 20 years ago where everyone just blindly listened to the news. I mean, there's so many people out there that don't listen to the media anymore, but they're not replacing it. Excuse me, they're not replacing it with healthy alternatives. They're not replacing it with, they're not replacing it with anything nutritious or good anyway themselves. So, John Vance is here. I thought John Vance was giving up on politics and us.
Is it you, John? John.
Hello, guys. Once again, this is John Vance here, leader of the Western Muslim Converts of Canada.
Welcome back.
I thought you were giving up on us.
I believe that, I am directed by higher power.
John, I'm getting worried about you.
How difficult life gets for me around here.
You didn't
always feel like I'm going somewhere, and that's enough.
You didn't seem to be this mentally off all the other times. I feel as though something's happening. I feel as though you're becoming less coherent and a little bit more deluded and stuff. What's going on?
That's all you can tell yourself. You prayed once a day. That's enough for you to feel satisfied. You don't have to feel guilt that you didn't pray more than once. And in due time, God, Allah, only knows your struggle.
Okay. I think maybe you've been hanging out in the cube a little too much and have absorbed some of their nonsense a little bit, because what you just said had no relevancy to what I just asked. I didn't remember you being this incoherent prior to the cube. I don't remember it.
So basically, I just want to add about it on there, but I'll tell you what. Yeah, that is a different side, but I just think really what we need more than ever is people to have meaningful connection, community, guidelines, realistic goals.
Oh my God. Well, we've really done a number on people like you in that, look, feminism really destroyed men like you in that, you cannot find girlfriends. Not only do women not want to sleep with you, but you don't want the women either. There's men like you cannot find a woman that they want to be with. There's nothing available for you. And it's really been, it's eugenics in that we're trying to breed out a certain type of mentality, right? There's a certain type of man that has been destroyed by the modern system and who cannot, no matter how hard he tries, reproduce. And, there's other problems that need to be corrected. There's other genetic problems that need to be corrected. And we shouldn't just decline our birth rate totally, but the other side, the people that we want need to start picking up their birth rate and having more kids. But, this is actually a good thing, this kind of collapse of this type of man who's just incapable of living in the modern world.
And I don't think men deserve reproductive rights.
No, they don't. No, these men don't deserve reproductive rights. But taking it away from them
unless they fix the rules. They can only fix the rules with a political idea, which they can only promote with political activism in a focused and organised way.
They're not willing to do that. They're too stupid to do that.
Because I understand, I totally empathize with people who say that, the political system is very corrupt. There's nothing that we can do about it, right?
Well, I mean, that was why I'm trying to say that, if the thing oppressing you is the global hegemon and the most powerful entity in the whole wide world, logically and necessarily the only being that you can appeal to must be God. And even if you don't think he exists, in theory, that is what you're supposed to appeal to. But nobody is doing that, not even the Jews and Muslims fighting each other in Israel. They don't even, in their discourse, ask themselves which side God would support if he exists. And I'm saying that theology will change the minds of people because it's so easy to understand.
Okay, my point is that a lot of human problems are caused by the fact that humans have deficient intelligence and nobility, and that we need to breed and genetically engineer ourselves into the point that we can live successfully together. Look, we know that if you let's say you took a bunch of dumb people and you put them on an island, and you took a bunch of smart people, kind, good people that were empathetic and helped each other, and you put them on another island, the island full of dumb, evil people, their civilization would be horrible. Everything would be messed up. They'd all be miserable. They'd all be at each other's throats, and it would be a problem. And all the people who were good and noble and intelligent on the other island would have a much better civilization. And so that's the problem.
Oh, that's such a brilliant idea, Vincent. How about refining that idea and putting them on a Jew island, a Christian island, and a Muslim island, and see how they go, and then make them fight a war with each other. What did you say?
What keeps me going is, the faith in the Quran. It's almost a sin to kind of delve into nothing, or it's haram, not permitted. I guess you can say.
I didn't know John was like
get
this.
semantical about it.
You didn't know John was a what?
I didn't know John was like this. I didn't know that he was this mentally scattered and schizophrenic and stuff like that. I didn't know that. I thought he was a lot more cogent and. Was he always like this, or has he gotten worse?
Well, he's a bit of both. I mean, I think he made more sense when he was a secular Quranist, and then he became Muslim, and it all fell to pieces. And then he's just kind of, having wild swings of activity, and then he would kind of retire, come back, and retire and come back.
I think more than ever that we need to really lean on the religion, definitely.
Yeah. So I'm saying, people can talk about secular Quranism. I don't even want them to say, "Oh, it's wonderful." It doesn't even matter if they say, "Oh, it's a terrible idea," which you'd be frightened of it. Which is why I wasn't scared when Edward Martin on Facebook wanted his Guardian journalist friend to do a hatchet job on me. I knew it would be a hatchet job if it ever appeared in the Guardian, but they wouldn't even do it. And now he's sort of plotting to have some website dedicated to denouncing secular Quranism. So I wait for him to do that. He's just collecting posts on my timeline and confusing you, Vincent, with me.
You're talking about Edward Martin.
Mandela effect.
Yeah,
what's that?
They really do.
Do you notice just he's just kind of he's
It'll give you more awareness, but does that really change your life?
He's injecting. John Vance is just injecting things off topic, this is not very. It's not coherent speech. It's not following the cadence of the conversation. It's very that's autism. I mean, to just blurt out something in your head that has nothing to do with the current topic is autism. Like
he doesn't even hear what we're saying. He's just saying things randomly.
Not really, no. But
okay, I mean, I guess we can all be off topic at times.
Yeah, I mean, it's just but Claire, this is what I'm talking about. This is the way people think, like John Vance, and you can see why they're not going to pick up. Look, Claire, it's not so much that the CIA is against you. It's just that people are like John Vance, and you say something, and it's just they don't even have the IQ to comprehend what you told them.
Well, I think maybe John just wants to say what's on his mind more than listening to what we have to say.
No, it's no, the type of person, look, most people, most of your listeners would come on here and just start talking about random bullshit and not talk about what you were just talking about and not be able to have a logical conversation. Claire?
Yeah,
They
I
wouldn't
know.
they wouldn't be able to have a logical conversation. It's not that the CIA is against you, it's that people cannot have logical conversations.
Well, yeah, I mean, I invite them. I try and say, like, what if I said that is untrue, illogical, or immoral? And I just get silence. You know, even the people who've gone to
Religion
good
that we can
universities.
incorporate into all aspects of our lives, of our work, our family, co-workers, friends. Now we're talking.
Yeah, Claire, this is the best that you're going to
But
get. I'm
until
sorry
then,
to tell you.
Well,
it's
you
just a
see,
diversion from Shaitan.
he's saying what
There's
he
lots of
wants.
diversions out there.
He's giving us a wish
When they
list of
have
what
the
he
internet, they want to
wants.
control information.
I know, but Claire,
All
can't you see that this
information.
isn't? Claire, can't you see that this isn't actually like? Well, actually, I don't want to say it's not normal behavior because I think that more and more people behave like this these times. But I mean, can't you see that this is not like? I mean, Claire, these people come on here and then you're just like, oh, he's just doing this. You make excuses for them. Like, this is unexcusable.
Well, I suppose, people get like that in spaces. And that it's usually a very big group, and people, that there is this sort of protocol. You raise your hand, and then you get the mic, and and then you get to speak, and then maybe somebody interrupts you, and there's this argument, and then somebody gets annoyed, and then they just interject and they take over. So it's chaotic. I'm saying it's chaotic, and I guess when you're waiting in in a disorderly queue, then you suddenly realise there's no point me waiting my turn. I'll just interject and just say whatever's on my mind. Who cares what these boring people are saying anyway? And this is, as you say, a sign of chaos and insanity and disorder that's just going to get worse. Because there are no rules anymore, because nobody is enforcing them. And ultimately, whether you want to run an evil dictatorship or something, you need to have rules, and you need to have people to enforce them.
Claire, just like, I don't know, Claire, I mean, you're going to be disappointed if you're looking for mass movement. I'm not going to be disappointed because, I'm not looking to get the government or anyone to start promoting my ideas.
Okay, I'm not looking for a mass movement. I am, going straight to the top. I just can't work out who is at the top. I think it's the CIA, right? I mean, that's how I'm looking at the problem. That out of all the arms of oppression, the CIA would be the most powerful arm of oppression. And I'm saying that they can't possibly all agree about policy, because I'm sure some of them must be Trump supporters, and not all of them are woke, and not all of them agree about the about US foreign policy. So I'm saying there is still room for manoeuvre. You just have to work out who is in charge. And because we are living in an opaque matriarchy where, everybody's supposed to be equal, and even if we have a leader, that leader is not going to be there for long, and somebody's pulling his strings anyway, it's hard to get at the person really in charge. And if we appeal to this being that's supposed to be above humanity, we will get the attention we need. And that's all I'm saying, because it's a narrative that even atheists who reject the existence of God instantly understand. It's not some what's the word? Complicated conspiracy theory that you're going to be having to bore some person with. And that, I think, is why the Abrahamic moral system is the best one available for us to solve our political, social, and economic problems.
Echo, turn on the light.
Don't you see the logic? You may not agree about the Abrahamic God, but you can understand the reasoning behind this, can't you?
No, I can't. I think there's better ways to solve our problems than believing in the Abrahamic God, Claire. I think there's definitely better ways of solving
Okay,
our
so the Vincent way is, listen to me, Vincent Bruno. I've got this plan, but I won't be around to see it.
Look, the Jews who wrote the Noahide laws weren't around to see where it's been today. I mean, Claire, it's just like everything that the Jews do, you don't think anyone else can do. Like, it's okay if the Jews 1,000 years wrote down a plan and now it's coming to fruition, but if I try to do it, it's not good.
Yeah, because you're not.
Because I'm not Jewish?
Yeah.
Look,
and even if you were, all the Jews would say, who are you? You're not a rabbi. You're gay, or.
No, but I'm just taking their idea and applying it to my own thing. And you're saying, well, that won't work. Why can't I take a good idea? What's wrong with stealing?
You don't have the status to do it. That is the thing.
Neither did Jews back then. Jews didn't have world status when.
They're God's chosen people. That's what it says in the scripture that Christians adopted.
Nobody believed that when Jews wrote down the Noahide laws. Nobody around the world believed there were people didn't believe Jews were God's chosen people when they started this plan. They were just one nation that nobody liked.
But the point is that they stood head and shoulders above all the other idol worshippers.
Not according to the other idol worshippers. Look, if the Jews went out 1,600 years ago and handed out the Noahide laws and said, we're God's chosen people and we've written this for you to follow, everyone would have laughed. Okay, only now, 1,600 years later, is it possible for people to actually take this seriously?
Yes, because of the internet and global communications and the fact that
Claire,
English...
if they did it, I can do it. I'm not looking, Claire, just because
yes,
I'm not...
Yes, you can do it. Actually, I'm going to say yes, you can. You can play a role in propagating a message, and you have to attach yourself to the right person to get things going. And I've told you my plan. I'm just saying I accept that the American empire is global, and it has CIA control over global media, and the CIA don't like my message because it's all about nationalism. It's all about telling all these pathetic NATO countries that they have their own national interests, and it is not serving serving American interests, or which even ordinary American people don't agree with, because most Americans are not neocons, are not neoliberals. They're always complaining about mass immigration, which is the consequence of neoliberalism, and endless foreign wars, which is a consequence of neoconservatism. So an empire that is overstretched will eventually collapse. And I'm saying it's a fault of Jews who never fulfill their God-given purpose of being God's chosen people, lighting the way of Gentiles away from the idolatry of Christianity towards the Unitarian and correct worship of God. That is Islam. And they refuse to do it because they hate Muslims, and they have made an idol of their Islamophobia. And so have Christians, and that's why they can't and won't see reason, because their identity of being Christians is more important to them than seeing sense. And you can liken, all the dumb people, bumping along at the bottom in George's Cube as Christians. It's like, we don't care if we make sense. There's loads of us Christians. We can huddle together. The dumb people will always exist. We're the most numerous of all the human groups for all time, forever.
Yeah, I know. This is the way Christians think, that they don't need to worry about anything because they're just like the big fat slobs that, and there's 100 of them, and so, and they're just the loudest and the most raucous and have the most bombs. And yeah, the idea that this is, and they don't even realize, they're hypocrites because they sit around complaining about how Christianity is losing, but then you turn around and tell them they're in trouble. Oh no, we're the most numerous. We have all the power. Christianity is the best. Like, they.
And some of them say, "Oh, we don't mind it. The physical body will perish, our soul will go to heaven," and that's when you can tell them that they're not going to heaven because they're the idolaters who worship an executed blasphemer,
Yes,
and they have no answer to that.
Yeah, I know. Good. I like when Christians. I told you the other day I was having that fight with that Christian, and he told me, "Oh, if the Christian world falls, that doesn't matter because that's just the physical world, and what really matters is the spiritual." God, I like when Christians think like that. I like when Christians just give up on society and retreat and say, "I don't care about the physical world. I only care about my spiritual being." Good, and then they're going to say, "Oh," and then Christ is going to come out of the clouds and come save you. I like when Christians think like that. I like when Christians say, "I don't need to do anything. Christ is on his way."
Yeah, but then you have to remind them that well, you're supposed to adopt to the Ten Commandments, because there are 10 Commandments carved into stones in churches and things. What do you call them anyway? I've seen the 10 Commandments in church, and it's like well they're supposed to buy into the whole idea of forbidding idolatry and blasphemy, and they're the world's worst hypocrites because that's exactly what they've been doing. And then you can go to the Quran, and the Quran says hypocrites calling themselves Muslims are cursed by God and their final destination is hell. And if hypocrites who call themselves Muslims go to hell, all the more would hypocrites of who are non-Muslims go to hell. I mean, they're all going to hell. I mean, including all these Jews, with the 36 capital offences, because basically their afterlife would be, well, if you ever did anything in your Jewish life that incurred any of the 36 capital punishments, and they include things like being rude to your parents and being drunk and living in a city that has gone astray and breaking the Sabbath, I'm sure most Jews will have a list of capital punishments waiting for them in their afterlife. And if they really believed in the whole thing, they'd have to convert to Islam and say, because that's the only way they can escape this afterlife punishment. And I'm saying they don't believe in it either because they don't care. Their Jewish identity of being punished in the afterlife, if they really believed in all that rubbish, or maybe it's not rubbish, would make them think, well, if God really exists and if he really did reveal the Torah and Quran to humanity, then we better go for the Judaism light so we don't get punished as badly. Because they're supposed to take the ultra-Orthodox Jews are supposed to take the Torah literally. They really are. So, either they do or they don't. So they're having it both ways. It's like, yes, we're supposed to take it literally, but it's all metaphorical or something. And I know they argue with each other about that. And I'm saying, well, the only way to escape all these terrible punishments in the afterlife is to convert to Islam. And they know that's also true. So they're just left with, the Quran is not really from God. And they can't win that argument either. Because the Quran that goes on about the Jews, the children of Israel, and the end times, and goes on about Jesus and Mary, and it's clearly intended to incorporate the two previous religions.
I know, but Claire, that could just be. I mean, this is you could just logically. I mean, the thing about the Quran is they could have just read the Bible, read the Torah, read the Talmud, and then just wrote something in that logically filled in all the gaps. I mean. That's not, anyone could have done that. That's not impressive. That's not, just because, after the book was written, someone else wrote another book that coincided with other books that already existed. That's not God. That's not impressive. I'm not impressed by that.
Well, started a religion called Islam, which has existed for 1400 years. So, I mean, it's not something to.
I know, but those people were dumb. I mean, look, they're low intelligence creatures that have low nobility and are willing to just rip off other people's books, fill in a story, and say, "Look, God gave this to us." I mean, that's not impressive. I mean, that.
Well, Jews have been around even longer, and Christians have been around longer than Muslims. So.
Yeah, I know, but none of this is impressive. I mean, okay, the New Testament's not impressive either. I'm not impressed with a bunch of people that took the Torah and corrupted it. I mean, there's nothing impressive about that, and there's nothing impressive about copying someone and editing it a little bit and adding in some, filler and, and then saying that God spoke to you. That's not impressive.
Well, the thing is, people believe in it, Vincent, and people want to believe in it. I mean, remember John, who was just sort of mumbling about how important it is to believe in God, and obviously he was religious before he even converted to Islam. He was just reading. There would be videos of him reading the New Testament. And I would go on at him, like, aren't you supposed to be reading the Quran rather than the New Testament? And obviously he got some comfort out of the New Testament. And well, you can see how lost people become when, they don't have anything to hope for anymore. But I'm saying, a lot of this emotional energy can be harnessed and focused and directed at solving problems. And this is, what I want to explain. Because if you accept the proposition that all good and evil come from God and that all suffering is punishment for sin, then you actually have the ability to solve your problems, because then you're going to say, well, I don't want to suffer. I guess I must stop sinning. I guess I must have sinned. And if I'm not sure what my sins are, I'll just go through the list. That is the no-hide laws, and see which ones it could have been. And it's like, yeah, it's easy. It's because you're not Muslim. And if you're Muslim, it's because you haven't been following your own rules. And you've solved the problem, in theory anyway. And also, the whole point of the Abrahamic God is that it is the most powerful being conceivable. Nobody can actually think of anything more powerful than the Abrahamic God who created the universe and knows our hearts and minds, having communicated with humanity twice at least through the Torah and the Quran. It's a living God and occasionally answers prayers. I mean, that is why I guess Christians culturally appropriated the God of Israel.
Oh God, well, Claire, I don't need to worry about.
Okay, you think of something to beat that.
No, Claire, look, dumb people need that. I'm not looking to get a mass movement. I don't care about the masses of humanity. I don't need to talk to them. Stupid people need that kind of shit. And you're good for you. You want to go talk to those people and you want to make up things that they'll listen to and it has to be dumb or otherwise they won't tolerate it, then that's on you. And I just don't want anything to do with that.
But you are relying on the no-hide laws to do your thing.
I'm relying on the inversion of them. I think making a set of rules and a legal system is a good idea, rather than the no-hide laws told me it's correct action, not necessarily correct belief. I mean, the thing is, the only reason in my system that you're not allowed to be a monotheist is because it leads to moral, it destroys moral relativism, and then therefore it affects your actions. But most of the things are correct actions in what I'm promoting, correct ways of doing things, or not correct belief, but correct ways of thinking about things, in order so that your actions are in alignment with a better ideology. And a belief in God and all that stuff, I'm not really gonna what I have to do is I'm going to say, first of all, the government should promote non-supernaturalism first, and only if people are too fucking stupid and need God should you make polytheistic religions for them. Then go ahead. But you should just and we should try to engineer out people who need religion and God. We should try.
Sorry, you can what? Sorry, what did you say? The last sentence?
We should try to find what makes people believe in God or what kind of people need God and engineer them out, breed them out. Don't let them have children.
There'll be nobody left.
No, well, yeah, I know, but I'm not looking. I'm not looking for billions upon billions upon billions of people. It's just that's anyway. What time is that? Oh God. Okay, I'll stay for a few more minutes, but...
Okay, but I'm saying what you propose is speculative and risky. Well, the Abrahamic God has a very long track record. It's
a bad track record. A bad track record. This is your thing, oh, look, this person raped 300 babies, but we can't get anything better, so just let them babysit for you. No, I want someone who didn't rape 300 babies to babysit for me. I'm going to call a new babysitting agency that just started, but they're new. Nobody knows about them. They don't have any reviews. That's the first time she ever babysat a baby. You're going to let her in? Yeah, because I'm not going to let a baby rapist in and take care of my baby.
Is it a biblical reference about the rape babies thing?
No,
or
the
you
murder
just came
and
off the top?
all you have to do is look at how the Islamic world or the Muslim world or the Abrahamic world has operated, and I don't want it anywhere near my child. I'd rather call a new babysitting agency and get a fresh girl who's never babysat before in my house than have one of those fucking people babysit the baby. It's better. It's better to get a new girl.
Have you ever considered that things would be even worse without the Abrahamic religions?
No, okay, that's what I'm saying. You're coming to me and say, don't you think there could be something even worse than your baby getting fucked up the ass? What if the new girl that never brought anyone in, what if she sets the baby on fire? Okay, I don't want the baby fucked in the ass, Claire. I'd rather take my chance with somebody who's new and maybe doesn't have experience, but I know it's not gonna, or at least I have hope won't hurt the baby. I have hope.
But what you're doing what you're saying amounts to trust in me, Vincent Bruno. That's what you're saying.
No, it's try something new because you can't trust what the other people have been doing. I cannot trust the other babysitters. I can't trust them.
Well, I suppose people are going to say, well, a gay man is not going to be the first kind of babysitter you think of when you're thinking of hiring a babysitter.
Well, I wouldn't. So yeah. So you're.
Have you ever babysat?
Not as an adult, no.
Well, there you go, Vincent. I think you should just get with the program and be the first gay secular Koranist with the role of protecting the rights of gay people to secular Koranism. That would be just so you, and then we can together, get more people. But I think it's your pride that's getting in the way.
No, I just, I'm not gonna, hold on. What? Temporary closed?
What?
I need to go get my hair cut, but...
Maybe Monday's a bad day.
Never mind. I'm gonna look at something else.
Well, I'm pleased at the turnout. I mean, I think at one stage there were 8 people listening to us talk, us two autists. I will be talking to Ulrich at 3, so not very long now. I will be discussing idolatry with a Hindu. Have you gone, Vincent? All right. I'll end the stream then. Thank you, Vincent, and all the others for turning up and trying to give us advice about being more like you. And it's good to talk, isn't it?